You know, I be loving me coffee as much as anyone else, mate, but there's actually a science to it. And a pretty good science lesson involved as well, so stick around. That's some good coffee.
Oh, hands on deck!
Woo! Holy shit.
Can't believe it, dude. I've been looking for you for literally like years, man.
Last G. Oh, yes. It's still hot. Still a little hot. Ooh, ooh. My tongue's on fire. Oh, so good though. Cheers, mate. Yeah. I got a thing for coffee. I can't help it. Yes. That's good. That is good. Good. Honestly, this discussion came up at work last week, and we were talking about coffee and different ways of making it. You know, some people like to use nice level scoops, and other people use giant heaping pile on as much absolute coffee as possible and dump it in, and they still measure it with like the same number of scoops, because, you know. Anyway, there's a whole science to it. It's all about fine-tuning the right amount of water to coffee grounds and getting the right temperature and filtering it properly. And yeah, it's just, there's so many good things to it, but it gets kind of sciencey. So buckle up for a second. I promise I won't get too deep. But I think it's important to know what affects a good cup of coffee. So the first thing that probably the most obvious is the beans. I mean, selecting a good quality bean that has a nice roast on it is very important. Now, there's different types of roasts. Of course, it ranges from a light roast to a dark roast. This has to do with how long or the temperature at which it's roasted, and it determines how dark the bean gets. The beans I was using in the purpose of this video is a medium roast, so kind of a middle of the road that way. Your lighter roasts are going to have a higher caffeine content, and of course the darker roasts are going to be a much more rich, robust flavor, but the caffeine content actually drops the darker the roast. Once you've selected the perfect beans, it's time to grind them down, so a good grinder is an absolute must. Now, in the case of making drip coffee, I want a pretty fine grind, but we don't want to pulverize them to absolute oblivion. I mean, we do still want there to be, you know, a decent particle size, because we don't want it to pass through the filter. I mean, who likes coffee grounds in their coffee? Ugh. Oh, that's terrible. So grinding to the right consistency takes just a little bit of practice, but you'll develop an eyeball for it pretty quickly. One other very important note about the coffee beans and the coffee grounds is once you get to that stage where you're adding the water, it's important that you just put a little bit of water on and then wait about 15-30 seconds, somewhere in that range. Give the coffee grounds some time to hydrate. You want them to absorb that moisture and unlock their full potential for releasing the beautiful compounds that we have come to know and love as coffee. As for the water, make sure you're using a good quality water. Our tap water here is actually pretty decent, so I just use our tap water. You can filter it if you want, or just, you know, roll the dice on the unfiltered water, but you can even dump some bottles of water in there, whatever. It's also important that you measure the amount of water. We want to make sure that our water to coffee ground ratio is somewhere in the ballpark that's going to produce a nice quality coffee for us. Now, that ratio is typically described as 1 tablespoon per 6-ounce cup of coffee, but man, I don't know about you. I don't drink no 6-ounce cup of coffee. This thing's, you know, half the size of my head. It's a big cup. No, of course it doesn't say how big it is. No. My pot holds about 36 ounces of water, which is just about perfect because, honestly, after about 36 ounces of coffee, it's really time for something else to drink. So if we're making 36 ounces of coffee, that's basically 6 servings. We'd want 6 tablespoons. Now, the scoop that I use is 1/8 of a cup. So this is your standard coffee scoop. Just about all of your standard coffee scoops will be 1/8 of a cup. This is 2 tablespoons. So I use just about 2 slightly heaping scoopfuls, and that seems to be just about perfect for the amount of coffee that I'm making. It's actually about 32 ounces. It holds about 36, but I run it a little bit shy, so I do 2 big cups of, you know, it's about 32. The temperature at which you brew is another one of the most important things about making coffee. I always joke that the coffee we have at work must be about 211 degrees Fahrenheit because it's not quite boiling, but holy smokes is that coffee hot. So the optimum temperature range for making a great cup of coffee is somewhere between 195 and 205 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to shoot for about 200. And if you vary the temperature too far outside of that range, then well, you're not going to be getting the most flavorful extraction out of the coffee. Too low of a temperature and you're not going to be extracting enough of the compounds that make coffee coffee. And if the temperature is too high, well then you're it's almost like burning a cake in the oven. You're extracting too much, really is what it comes down to. You're extracting too many compounds, and which will kind of give it a bitter taste and really kind of change the flavor, so not really what you want. So finding that optimal temperature range and you know, doing the extraction there, that's great. So that makes it very handy having the gauge right built in. It's got a thermometer that runs clear down into the water, and yeah, works out real nice. Oh, it's so good. Good stuff. Oh my goodness. Finally, the equipment is you know, considerable, but not really critical. I mean, I used to just use a coffee mug and put a funnel on top of it with a paper filter in it. You could put your coffee in there and then just pour from another cup, or maybe a measuring cup if you've got one, very gently, and achieve the same results. But you know, it's always a little bit more fun if you've got some really cool lab glassware. Essentially, that's what this is. But these things have been around for decades. I didn't know. I thought they were kind of a newer trend, but man, they've had them around for a long time. Now the filter I'm using, not so much. I don't think I don't think I actually showed this earlier, but the filter is just a metal filter, so it holds the coffee grounds. Kind of scummy in there now after we brewed, but you can see it's just a double wall filter that's got a fine mesh on the inside, and then a little bit larger screen size out here. But effectively, it's just a reusable filter, so I can wash this out and use it again next time. Oh, and it's definitely worth noting that consistency is kind of everything here. So when you find a formulation or a process, a method, whatever you want to call it, that works good for you, make sure you remember exactly how you did it so you can replicate that in the future. I mean, that's an excellent science lesson built right into the idea of brewing coffee, is finding a way to make it repeatable. Science has to be repeatable, folks, otherwise it's not science. And in my honest opinion, coffee brewing has to be repeatable, or otherwise what's the point? I mean, if you brew a batch and you get a different result every time, then you're not making good coffee. So it's very important that you sort it out and find a good method that works for you, and remember it and do it consistently, and you'll always get a great cup of coffee that way. Ah, hell. I dribbled coffee on my notes. Damn it. You know, if I had $1 for every time that happened in college, well, I don't know. It's probably not good, because I bet my college professors hated that. Sorry guys. I apologize for all the coffee stains in college. There was, you remember. Yeah. Hasn't changed much. God, I hope I don't do that at work, man. Working in this new lab, man. Just don't write up your results in the break room. I guess that's probably a good safety practice. Safety practice, yeah. Spilling coffee on your notes, bad. Ooh. Ah. Any hoozle, good coffee. We'll just have to be a little more careful. Got more, it's fine. What the hell? Yeah. Oh, I gotta be careful. Good as new. Now, it's always important to clean up your messes too when you make them. And try not to make them, because that's good coffee. Alright, so there we go. Man, I wish you guys were enjoying this as much as I am. Maybe by now you've made coffee. I hope so, because that's some good stuff. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. There's a ton of good information out there about brewing your own coffee at home, and different methods, and, you know, like the French press and the drip method, which is kind of what we were using. But you know, we gotta have some fancy lab glass to brew it in. You can go check all that information out, but ultimately what it comes down to is brewing the type of coffee that you like the most. Find the beans that you like and grind them the way that you enjoy it, and, you know, put as much in as you want. Because ultimately it's up to what you like. I mean, coffee's coffee, that's what they all say, but really it's not. There's a very fine distinction between different varieties, and so many things, so many different variables that go into making the perfect cup. So once you find something that works for you, that's what you got to stick with. I mean, if it works, don't change it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down there, or, you know, if you didn't like it, well then, to you too, whatever. Click it. Fine, be my guest. Anyway, actually, please hit that like button if you did like it, and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, and don't forget to leave a little comment down below. Let me know how you like to do your coffee, because it's your thing, and I want to know what your thing is, because this is my thing. But you know, we might have different things. Okay, that's getting weird. Yeah, I'll just aside from that, I'll catch you guys next time. We put the rum in it. Because we haven't made the rum. Why haven't we made the rum? We need to make the rum.